Hi, Dad. Welcome back to another episode of Dave and Andy's Honest About Life. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Andy. Thank you.
Good, good, good. Wonderful to have you as always. We don't have a ton of time, but I think about this particular topic because it's in the news all the time. The presidential, new names are throwing their name into the race about presidents, future wannabe presidents, 2020. What's it going to be? 2024, something like that. When we're
Yeah, I believe so.
next president, something like that. So the question gets to be, and I think a lot of people have this of their parents, who do their parents believe was the best presidents during their lifetime? Of all that you have had, of presidents that you remember, who would you call the best president in your lifetime?
Wow, that is really deep. But I'm going to go against. That's either against. I can't remember what my mom and dad. I would have to say, and the most impactful president in my lifetime was President Kennedy.
Wow.
And I think it was because the Bay of Pigs, the conflict we had with the Cuban Missile Crisis, all of that stuff, he was able to get through, and just was a strong man. And yeah, I would have to say that he was the one that had to deal with a lot and did it well.
What age were you when he was president? Do you remember?
Good question. I think he was assassinated in 1963. And that was a horrible day in my life. But yeah, so I was 8, 9 years old.
Yeah, so you remember that.
7, 8, 9. Yeah. Oh, I totally remember it. It's
right.
I remember where I was when the day he was assassinated. I was out having recess at Level School in Circle Pines.
Yeah. Yeah, we've actually talked about that. Where were you when? That was one of the topics. We have a video on that. What would you say it might go against what your parents would consider the best, who your parents would consider the best president? Who do you think they would have considered?
They were, back in the day, they were liberal. My dad worked for a testing company. It was like Iowa Basics was a big test, but this was American Guidance Service that he worked for. And so they really depended on a lot of, funding for education. And so I think they chose based on that, which was a good reason. Education is great, and we need money to educate our young people. And I think that's what they did. They always leaned toward the party that was going to give the most for education.
So it's really been, so education, I think, still considers itself, like you say, in the liberal or progressive side of the aisle. It was that way back then as well. Because sometimes you hear about positions that have changed sides, right, if you will.
And I'm not sure that I'm even stating this correctly, but I believe, being conservative was more in the Democratic range back in the day, and being liberal was more in the Republican. So I don't know when that switched. I don't know if it did switch. I don't know. But that's what I remember hearing, kind of. So yeah, it's kind of tough for me. Politics has not been one of my strong suits. Yet your vote is very important, and that's what I always vote. But it's not one of my strong suits. I'm kind of embarrassed that I don't follow it more. But it's almost gotten to the point of now politics are it's frustrating. And it's almost irritating sometimes the way parties are fighting. And I don't think that's what this country was meant to have.
No, very divisive. And I'll be careful when I say this like this, but it's unfortunate that the candidates that typically rise to the occasion of being of wanting to be a politician, and even just saying that, it makes it sound so negative. the quality of those folks tends to be the ones who have a past, a sordid past, or they're sort of very, very divisive. And I know I'm lumping them in, and I'm sure I'm going to offend a few people here, but they seem to be very on one extreme side or the other. So, Dad, if you follow me, what's it going to take to get? And I know that there's a lot of folks like we're already starting to see advertisements for Senate seats, races already, and they call themselves very balanced and right down the middle, and they sort of have friends on either side of the aisle. But when it comes right down to it, they vote 100% with their party, and 100% of the time, so it's just not very helpful. Why is
No,
that?
yeah, you've hit on a very big point, I think, in our whole political system. And you have to kind of, instead of having the two extremes come together for a middle ground, we have to. It's a battle. I think it's a battle for all of us to kind of come together. We have to give and take, and give and take in this country, I think, is, I don't know what's happened to it, but it's always like, it seems like both sides take.
Yeah.
No, you've got to give some ground too, in order to reach that middle ground, which hopefully we can reach someday.
I agree. Well, we don't have much time left, but I think we started this segment off just talking about your sister and
Yeah, we did.
and we got, obviously, this is what's so fun about our conversations is, who knows where they're going to take us. And in this case, it went from, the wonderful memories that Lorraine had of your growing up, and thank you, Lorraine, for sharing that with me, and your memories of my dad, as a little boy. Thank you for sharing that. And again, the fun stuff is, where does it go? Where do we go from there? And we end up with politics, talking about presidents and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
things branch off, and that's what I love about, even when you and I used to be looking for salamanders, looking for turtles or whatever, we'd be talking all the time, and except when we're quiet and we saw a little turtle head pop up.
yes.
But all those things are just amazing, and I'm glad that we can share that and branch off into whatever.
There doesn't seem to be an end to the possibilities, to the topics and all that. So Dad, as always, thank you for sharing your experiences with me, your thoughts, and I can't wait till the next time.
I love you so much, Andy. Thank you.
Love you, Dad. See ya.
Yeah.